Well, good afternoon. My gosh, it is hotter in Cuba, isn't it? It's lovely, really, mine, but I hope you're all alright. You're keeping safe. No doubt we'll have a few more visitors next week, but it'll be okay. It'll be alright. Anyhow, this here one today is called I Got a Little Sat-Nav. I have a little sat-nav. It sits there in my car. A sat-nav is the driver's friend. It tells you where you are. I have a little sat-nav. I've had it all my life. It's better than the normal ones. My sat-nav is my wife. It gives me full instructions, especially how to drive. It's 30 miles an hour, it says. You're doing 35. It tells me when to stop and start and when to use the brake. And tells me that it's never ever safe to overtake. It tells me when the light is red and when it goes to green. It seems to know instinctively just when to intervene. It lists the vehicles just in front and all those to the rear, and taking this into account, it specifies my gear. I'm sure no other driver has so helpful a device, for when we leave and lock the car, it still gives its advice. It fills me up with counselling. Each journey's pretty fraught. So why don't I exchange it and get a quieter sort? Well, you see, it cleans the house, makes sure I'm properly fed. It washes all my shirts and things and keeps me warm in bed. Despite all these advantages and my tendency to scoff, I only wish that now and then I could turn the gadget off. Thank you. Now this year one, because we're in no Royal Cornwall, or we won no Royal Cornwall this year. This year one's by David Prowse, and it's a bit about Royal Cornwall, and it's called A Touch of Class. Said Jan, I shan't be going to the Royal Cornwall show. I had a slight embarrassment there many years ago. See, I met this widow woman, and for reasons vague to me, she rolled her eyes all sexy like, and asked me round for tea. She had a drop of royal blood back somewhere down the line, and a snooty way of talking, and her name was Blanche Devine. Her clothes was fine and fancy from her high heels to her top. She had more fur and feathers than a taxidermist's shop. Well, we had this tea at her place, her vol-au-vents and trade. You couldn't drink out your saucer for the mess you might have made. She said, You're very agricultural, and she showed me to the door. You shall take me to the show, she said. I've never been before. So the chauffeur come next morning in this oversized saloon. He had more space between the seats than mother's living room. And she had this hat with plumage like a rooster on the craw, and a thing around her shoulders held together with a claw. Well, off we went to Weybridge, and we walked around a while. I was on my best behaviour with a gentlemanly smile. I walked in all the puddles, just to leave her in the dry, and every time she spoke I'd say, How splendid, in reply. So grand was my performance, and so impressed was she. I had visions of a knighthead or a castle by the sea. Then we reached the poultry section, and I lost her in the queue. Well, with all her plumes and feathers, 'twas a foolish thing to do. I took an hour to find her, but I wish I never had. This was when the situation went from promising to bad. She was leaning across the table on a Get Rhode Island red, and one of they their judges slapped a ticket on her head. How dare you, sir, she shouted, and what on earth was that? You've just won second prize, I said, for the feathers on your hat. If I hadn't started laughing, then I might have been all right. But she turned on me with words I thought was rather impolite. Then Willie John, the poultry job, come over with a grin. When I saw the mischief in his eyes, there was no way I could win. He looked at Blanche and back at me, then shook his head and cursed. If I knew the bird could talk, he said, I would have given the first. Thank you very much.